What's going on, guys? So this is a little bit unusual of a video for me in a way. Instead of looking at a bunch of glorious stamps this time, I'm going to be candid with you about where I'm at with things with this Japanese album. So I've done almost no work on it in like several weeks. I don't know, maybe it's been 3 weeks, a month. I don't even know. Every week I hit like Saturday or Sunday, I'm like, okay, time to make a video. I move this album I'm working on and this other album I'm transferring the stamps from over to my couch and to free up my desk so I can film a video. Well, this morning I just sat down here and I thought, okay, well, I've had this one green stamp sitting on this page that I've been like not doing anything with for a while, and it's kind of where I stopped anyways. I was like, well, let me just friggin' get this one stamp in here. Apparently I've like lost whatever fire was in my belly to build this album at this time, and I should just put them on the shelf and just let them sit until I'm ready to kind of pick this back up. So anywho, I just identified the stamp and I had a total moment of confusion. And I've gone through this kind of stuff before with you guys, but I figured, why not actually make a video about this, just for clarification. Sometimes you guys out there appreciate this kind of stuff. So here's the story, okay? I have, let me get this. So here's the binder I'm transferring from, okay? So he has identified, cataloged them all. As I've been going through these, it's become blatantly apparent that, he didn't identify them correctly. That any of these could easily be misidentified. And it's this series here. Oh, shucks. I gotta change the camera setting. Hold on. Okay, yeah, amazing what difference camera settings make. So it's this series here, alright? And there's variations of this stamp. There's kind of 3 variations of this design. Now, I'm going to hop into the catalog to show you guys what still unfortunately confuses me sometimes, and it's really just comes to what I'm going to talk about is really just understanding the listings in the catalog. So let me take you into my digital catalog here, and we're going to take a look. See, because I'm on this I think it's Sen stamp. Okay, this green. Whoa. Almost dropped her. This 2 sen green stamp. You can see 4 here, and then there's also a 5th, which I put into the album. Okay, right there. So I had 5 total, and what I do, just to speak for a moment, is when he has several of them, I kind of pull them all out and evaluate them and just kind of decide which one do I think is the best looking, which one has the best perfs, which one I think is in the best condition, basically. And that's the one that I end up putting into the album. And then all of the extras I've decided with this album to start putting in these clear Vario pages, and I'll put these in the back of the album as extras. Well, I will say, real quick, that I absolutely love it so far. Look at these pages. Aren't these gorgeous? I mean, these are beautiful, These 2 are the only ones that I've actually completed so far. But isn't that pretty? I mean, wow. I think this is fantastic. That was my dilemma, what to do with these extras. Well, this is what I came up with, and anyway, so far I'm loving it. I mean, look at all the beautiful colors, the beautiful stamps. You can see all the postmarks. Gosh darn it. And I mean, they're just gorgeous to look at. Just aesthetically, I love it. And of course, being clear, you can see the back and you can look at everything. You know, how cool is that? I absolutely love this so far. So really glad that I started doing this. Kind of sad I've just been slacking and not doing enough work on this album. But anyways, yeah, let's hop into the digital catalog here, and we'll kind of delve into what I'm discussing in this video here. Alright, so here we are in Japan in my digital catalog. Now, this here, A34 design, so that you guys can see up close, this is our design. Okay, so these here, let me zoom out a little. These here are all of the different listings that it could be, right? Well, so as I'm going to, as I'm working to identify these stamps, and this is pretty maybe, elementary to seasoned stamp collectors. So this is not super complicated to someone who knows what they're doing, but for novices or anybody that just wants clarification, this is why I'm going to go through this, because sometimes I get confused. Okay, and what confused me about these stamps, which, of course, I just woke up, sat down, and I'm like, let me make sense of this again. It's been a couple of weeks. This is pretty straightforward to begin with, right? Like, here's the first issues, 1913. They're unwatermarked. Okay, they could have these perfs. All right, so that's these stamps. Then we move down to kind of the second release or issue, whatever you want to call it. Same design, right? A34, 5, and 6, right? Actually, these have 33 in here, whatever. But same design, at least for our stamp, right? A 2-cent right here. A34 design. Second release, although these now, instead of being unwatermarked, are watermarked. And they have granite paper. They also seem to have a different size because they used a different dye called the old dye. Very well. So from this release to this release, it seems pretty straightforward, right? Oh, well, it either has a watermark or not, and it's either on granite paper or not. Two really simple, easy things to help differentiate which one you have, okay? So, now from here, this is where it gets muddy in my head, at least when I jump back into this Japanese stuff right out of nowhere. I'm like, okay, well, wait a minute. What about this third release here? Okay. So, let's say, for those of you that may know already, it's actually really easy to determine if a stamp has been printed on granite paper. It has granite fibers in the paper. They're usually blue or red, something like that, and they're riddled throughout the stamp. You can just look at the stamp and see the granite paper fibers. So, that's a really easy one. It's like, okay, granite paper or not, boom. You could also check the watermark, boom. Really easy, either way, right? But when you get down here, I get mentally sloshed up sometimes, where I get confused and I'm like, I don't know why I still can't get this sometimes, but sorry guys. So, granite paper, these stamps, right? Well, are these stamps granite paper? It doesn't say that, And in other videos, I've talked about how these kind of bigger, bolder texts, they trickle down. Like the information that's in this text here, this indicates a new release, right? This bold, bigger text. And the information trickles down. So, in the back of my head, without major confidence, I'm saying, well, if this says granite paper, then that means these should be granite paper. Now, the short story is yes, that's true. But I wanted clarification. I wanted to really sit down and hammer this into my head this morning to understand how to read these, right? So that was where I got confused, and I thought, let me go to the front of the catalog here and just read how to understand these listings again, because sometimes I get insecure about, I don't want to misidentify things. And so if this is watermark 141 with granite paper, does that mean these are watermark 141 with granite paper? Now the short story is yes, but anyway, let's jump to the beginning here. at least in this digital catalog. You go to the front of the book, and then you go down to understanding the listings. Okay, so this is where I just was. And they talk about, this is a great page for anybody struggling to comprehend and understand, these listings, of course. But talk about the Scott number, how it goes in order, the illustration number, the paper colors there. You can read all this stuff. This should be in in the beginning of your Scott catalog. So, listing styles. I was going into this one as well. I read this, trying to determine, will that third release have the granite paper or not as well. I just really wanted to read through this methodically and understand every single sentence and just make sure that I'm doing this stuff correctly. And so, the listing styles, okay, I found interesting. I don't know if I've ever really sat down and read this well enough. Major listings, right? There are two principal types here, major and minor. So, two principal listings, major or minor. Major listings are in a larger type style than minor listings, all right? And then you can have the cat number can have a numeral with or without a capital letter suffix, and with or without a prefix, all right? So like number 137A, that kind of stuff. Anyway, minor listings are a smaller type style, okay, smaller type, and have a smaller letter, okay. So like an uncapital, or a letter that isn't capital. I think uncapital sounds pretty dumb. That's not the way to say that. A letter that is not capitalized. Okay, so anyways, that was all good to read, but the answer to this granite paper in the third issue or not question in my brain was here. Basic information about a stamp or set. Now, it says, introducing each stamp issue is a small section, usually a line listing. Now, here they have an example listing where you can correlate the numbers, right, to the listing to help you understand. So, basic information about a stamp or set, number 5, here's what they're talking about, this bold, larger text, right? So it says, introducing each stamp issue is a small section, usually a line listing of basic information about a stamp or set. That's the bold line right here, right? This section normally includes the date of issue, the method of printing, perforation, watermark, and sometimes some additional information of note. Okay, so here, yeah, like in this, we have our year, we have the method of printing, which happens to be engraving, we have the perforations. So, this basic information is introducing this issue, this set. Okay. Now, printing method, perforation, and watermark apply to the following sets until a change is noted. Okay? Those three things are specifically what they're mentioning here. So, the printing method, the watermark, and the perforations. Okay? So, see this one here, engraving, perf 12.5. Well, that was this issue. Now, what about this issue? They've indicated changes in the basic set information. And I also like this terminology as well. Basic set. This being the initial, original set, they're calling the basic set. Okay, so you've got a new design, right? And underneath, they've indicated here with this information, the basic information for this basic set. Right? And then anything after this original first basic set are variations or different issues, right? And they say here, look at number 10, changes in basic set information. We haven't got there yet, but basically it's just telling you that they're using bold type and to show any changes to the basic set. And they do say, let's see, it includes categories like perforation, paper type, printing method, and watermark. All right. So, what has changed, right, from this initial set? We now have, it's typography instead of engraving is now the printing method. It's changed. Now it's perf 14 instead of 12.5, and now it's chalky paper. So all these things have changed, okay, for this release of stamps. And then here we have a third one with another change of basic information, which it does say watermark 3. Okay, actually I could have probably zoomed in on this, but yeah. So our base set, and then we had releases afterwards that had these differences that are indicated by the bold type. Okay, so anyways, that was just some basic run through there of understanding how the listings start. And I loved that they called this the base set. That made a lot of sense to me. I think that will actually stick with me. And then, yeah, the key here was the printing method, the perfs, and the watermark will apply to the following sets until a change is noted. Okay? They also talk about that stamps created by overprinting and surcharging previous issues are assumed to have the same perf, watermark, and printing method as the original. So, you know, it's still the same original stamp, they've just surcharged it or overprinted it. That makes sense. That's generally pretty basic stuff. So anyways, that was the key sentence for me to solidify in my brain how to understand this listing, okay? The printing method, perf, and watermark apply to the following sets until a change is noted. All right, so let's go back to Japan. We'll go back over here. We're going to look back at this section. I'll make this a little bigger so we can hopefully see the whole thing. All right, there you go. So here's our base set, right? The original release, all right? So here's another, here's the next one, and that's the changes that we were talking about that they indicated. All right. Now, this third one, this is the one that was giving me the trouble, my confusion, right, in my head. Well, I was thinking to myself, well, if they bothered to indicate that this issue was granite paper, wouldn't they just lump all granite paper stamps together? As in, if you had a granite paper stamp, wouldn't it just simply fall in this section? Well, no, that's not how it works, right? So I was going back and forth in my brain and just kind of thinking that, why isn't it that simple? Well, it isn't. These are all granite paper stamps as well. Even though it says it here, on this section, these are also granite paper stamps. Why? Because we have our base set, then we had a different issue that had these changes, which they've indicated here. And then from this set, there were changes made with this third release, okay? And you'll also notice, so these stamps are a variation of this stamp, is basically what I'm saying. We went from this, and we changed a couple of things here to make these stamps, and then we changed whatever they indicate here to make these stamps. They're all made from each other, in essence, you know? Not that these ones are the same as these. I'm getting confused all of a sudden. Geez, here we go. I'm trying to explain this well. So, you know, you have the original stuff, and then things changed, and then things changed again. So, but one thing that made a lot of sense to me is, see, if you had a 2-sen, oh my God, I'm just realizing right now, there isn't even a 2-sen in this third issue. Good Lord. So the 2-sen, of course, just has to be the one that isn't a good example. Go figure. That's how life is. So actually, for the 2-sen, it's really easy. Is it granite paper or not? And then you know it's this issue or this issue. Gosh darn it. So that means I don't even have to measure it. But, okay, so let's say, we had the 1-sen orange, all right? Let's switch it up here. So we had the 1-sen orange. So, that's number 128 here. Let's say we had granite paper, and it was number 128, and it was a 1-sen orange. We're like, okay, cool. And it has the watermark. We checked everything. All right, cool. Watermark, granite paper, 1-sen, great. Well, is it a 128 or is it a 128A, right? Which is another variation that was released, apparently. So, what's the difference? The die size. So, we got the old die and then the new die. Well, it says here 128A. So, we know that it's going to be on granite paper because it's not saying it's a 116A, it's a 128A, and the 128 has these changes. So, anyways, simple enough to say, okay, if whether it's in this release or this release, it's going to be granite paper because this release, these stamps are just a new release that has minor variations from these. All right. So this in a way, yes, it does trickle down. I'm not sure if that's just a good enough rule to have just enough confidence to just leave it at that. Say, well, it said here that this is granite paper. That means everything below it is going to have granite paper. Yeah, unless they specify otherwise. So they didn't. All that they specify is different between this issue and this issue is the die size. Is it flat plate or is it rotary? So in this case, all we'd really have to look at is, since the old die is 19, which is always the horizontal axis, is the first thing we measure. So 19 or 18.5 by 22, 18.5 by 22.5. Well, that'd be the first thing I would check then. If I had a 1 cen and I'm trying to determine, is it a new die or an old die? Is the horizontal frame of the design 19 millimeters or 18.5? Simple enough. If you measure it out and it's 19, then you know it's in here. If it measures out 18.5, then you know it's in here, but then you still need to measure the vertical axis and make sure that it's 22 or 22.5 to determine if it's flat plate or rotary, right? However, this is all pretty basic stuff. I still just get confused, and I wanted to make this simply because it might help somebody else out there. Usually I'm looking at a bunch of beautiful stamps and doing videos here, but I just wanted to kind of make this kind of to solidify in my own brain as I say it out loud, how this works. And since I just went through this, I just want to put this stuff out here for you guys. So, anyways, that was pretty much the story. I was just questioning, are these granite paper too? Like, why wouldn't they just lump them together? If these are granite paper, why aren't they all here? Any granite papers? And I was so close to just saying, well, if it has granite paper, it must be one of these then. And these must not have granite paper. Why wouldn't they have said that it has granite paper? And that's just, this is just that practice makes perfect kind of stuff with stamps. My old boxing coach used to say, practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. And that always stuck with me. Sometimes I just need to go back to basics and just to give myself the confidence when I'm doing these things that I'm doing it right. I don't want to do it wrong. I want to actually have true confidence that I'm doing these things correctly. I want to understand this stuff through and through. And anyways, this is just part of it. Even after years, sometimes I get jumbled up in my brain. I'm just a human being. I make mistakes, not perfect. And as time goes on, I'm really starting to understand the catalog better. It's amazing. It seems like such a elementary, obvious, simple thing. Like you need to understand how to interpret the catalog to identify the stamps correctly. Duh. Well, yeah, but it's not so simple. Like you really, you got to understand what you're doing, and if you're going to do it with confidence, you just got to take time and make sure that you really comprehend what's going on. So yeah, I was looking at these, right? And I was looking at the back of them, trying to determine granite paper or not, okay? And here's a great example, okay? This one right here. You can see the granite paper fibers. These have red fibers embedded into the paper. all right, you can just see, like, look at that red fiber there, right? Even these ones, look, you can see blue and red fibers in the paper. That's granite paper right there. So yeah, I was looking at these four, right? Because I was just going to throw them in this extra page here and just label them all, you know, whatever number. But I was looking at the back of them and I thought, wait a minute, I only see granite fibers on this one and this one. And after taking a really good look at both of those, I couldn't see a single granite fiber. And I thought, oh crap, I was just about to misidentify them in this extra page, which wouldn't be the end of the world. They're just extras, but I want to even identify them correctly here, you know. So I ended up pulling these two out because, hold on, these aren't the same issue. All four of these are different. Two of them have granite paper, two of them don't. So, anyways, this means that I need to separate them on this page. You know, I need to properly identify them. Now, the fact that these two here have granite paper, that means that they could either be the second or third release, all right? And these two here not having been printed on granite paper means that they must be the base set, the original release. So, as a matter of fact, yep, these two came after these two. These two are the original base set, and these two can either be the second or third release. Now also, let me just put these in here real quick so I don't lose them. But when I look into this album here, okay, I am on, let's see, the 1913 set. So this is the original base set in the album right here, okay? And that means that I went and checked this already after looking through all this, but if there was a single stamp in here, and I only identified two in here so far, but if either of these have granite paper, I misidentified them. And wouldn't you know it, look at that. You see those red fibers? Totally granite paper. That means that I misidentified this stamp. And I thought, oh crap, okay. So I was wrong there. What about this one? Nope. Actually was right. No granite paper fibers. So I properly identified this number 115. Yay. But I was wrong with this one here, which would be 18, number 118. What this one really is in the album as well, but it's that later release. Here we are. 1914 to 30 issue. That means this one belongs here. I put it in the wrong spot totally. Of course, they look identical, but they're different, right? And it also indicates that this one has the watermark zigzag lines. I do believe that that is watermark 141 in the catalog. So that would have been another way I could tell if I actually had bothered to check for a watermark. But I find it easy enough to check for it just being granite paper or not. I mean, that's a pretty simple way. I mean, all you got to do is just look at it. I don't have to waste fluid or anything. So this belongs here. Now the next question, though, is whether or not this is the second or third release, because it could still be either one. So let me get this thing out of my way here. We're going to have to determine what it is. So let me get out my little stamp gauge. And actually, let me get a sheet of paper here, I think would be best. Okay. We're going to use our handy dandy little gauge. Let me get this thing oriented right. Okay. Now, like we were saying in the catalog, it's either 19 or 18 and a half, I believe. Yeah, okay. I wanted to look again. And actually, let me bring you even closer. I'm being very casual with this video, if you guys can't tell. Keeping it real for you guys here. So, alright. So, if it's 19 on the horizontal axis, then we know for a fact it's the 1914-25 release, the second release. And if it's 18 and a half, then we know it's the third release, but we'll still have to determine is it flat or rotary plate printed. So, I'll also be candid in saying I like doing this for you guys, but it's such a pain in the butt. The camera's literally right in front of my face where I would normally be looking at this, so it's kind of hard for me. Yeah, I definitely struggle when trying to do this with the camera, but anyway. Let me try to line this up the best that I can. I think it's a little crooked here. Let me straighten it out. Okay, get this straight for you guys. Okay. Alright. Let's see if we can determine 18 and a half or 19. Oh crap, hold up, I'm doing the wrong border. Oops, wrong axis. What am I doing? Okay. Excuse me. Alrighty. Let me get in here. Yep. So it even looks to me like of course I'm struggling here, gosh. Looks like it might be even 19 and a half or something like that. So yeah, to the best of my ability with this camera in my face, okay, that looks great. Okay, I'm happy with that actually. That looks spot on. That looks like 19. Okay, so actually, I'm going to take it off the camera here and just really get a good look right in front of me so I can make sure. That would mean that it's the second release. Oh yeah, big time. Okay, so with confidence now, that's definitely got a 19 millimeter horizontal frame on this stamp design. Okay, so that means it's the second release, which means this is a number 130. Okay, done deal. Now, like we were saying earlier, though, I didn't really have to with this 2 sen. I actually had never realized until filming this that I'm looking back at it still in disbelief. Yeah, there is no 2 sen in the third stamp release, so didn't even have to bother. Gosh darn it. It would have made things a little easier for me if I'd noticed that. I thought there was. Anywho, so yeah. We've verified though, didn't we? We know for sure it's got a 19 millimeter horizontal axis on here. So, anyways, now I know that this is going to belong in the. Back up here. Yeah. All right. Whoa. Okay. There we go. I know that for a fact that this stamp, let me get this out of here, is going to be properly placed right here. All right. Oh yeah, by the way, sorry for the noise in the background. Doing laundry and washing dishes simultaneously here, so. Okay. We've got our pretty little stamp in its pretty little place where it's supposed to be. So yeah, it's really nice to have this stamp here. Feels good, feels right. Could probably cut this mount a little better, whatever. But we've properly got that one where it belongs. I also decided to put a note in here that this set is printed on granite paper and has a watermark. And then, so this means we can go back to where I had it before, which was just the page before this, and I can steal from my extras page one of these original releases, which properly goes here in this base set for 1913. I also put a blurb here that says that this one is not printed on granite paper and is unwatermarked just because. But so yeah, now I get to choose which one I like the most. So yeah, I'm looking at the perfs, and this kind of stuff is actually best done over some black background, but let me take a look here. When I'm looking at this stuff, I'm like, ooh, okay, well, the corner right here is not perfect. This one has better corners. But the top perfs on this stamp are better than the top perfs on this stamp. I think overall I'm going to choose this one. It looks like kind of most of the way around it, the perforations just simply look to be in better shape a majority of the way around it. So has been hinged. It looks okay on the back. Just taking another good look at that. I don't see any granite paper fibers, and it's not like a obliterated postmark or anything, so you know, you can still see the stamp. I think that looks good enough. We're gonna slip this guy right into its new home where it belongs. And yeah, so nice to catch a little mistake I was gonna make and kind of reinforce in my brain, you know, how this catalog works. Like, it's just really important. You know, this isn't even the most complicated stuff to deal with either. But yeah, sometimes I just, you know, I put this stuff down for weeks at a time, and I hop right back into it out of nowhere, and I'm like, I just, you know, I kind of lose confidence or something, and need to revitalize my intellectual capability here with this stuff. So anyways, just figured I'd share with you guys. I know this kind of video probably isn't for everybody, but and so now I have my stamps in there properly, my 2 cent, and then on my extras sheet, I know that I have one base set or one original release there from 13, and then I have these two, which, sorry for the unfocusing, these two which still I need to actually verify, are they the second or third issue, come to think of it. So I might as well do that, and that way I've got that handled. So what I need to measure, let's see. So once again, the horizontal axis here. So instead of having you guys do this with me in real time, I think I'll just go ahead and do it. I'll let you know what I've come up with. Oh no, wait! I already freaking forgot again immediately. No, I don't. Ugh, what is wrong with me? I did actually bother to measure them, and while I was measuring them, I'm like, what the heck? How many times am I gonna have to tell myself no? I don't have to bother measuring it with this 2 cent. Oh my god, how embarrassing, huh? Okay. So let's see here. Alright, so these must be number 130. Okay? Number 130. Now, they also do have a variation of 130 where it could be booklet pane stamps. I guess I have booklet panes as 6. Well, anyways. I don't see any imperforations on any of the edges, so I don't really know how to tell otherwise if they were booklet paint stamps. So we're just going to go ahead and call these 130. 130. Okay, so those are all 130, and that means that this one is actually 118 here. Alrighty. Holy freaking crap. Boy. It's a little embarrassing when I don't edit some of this stuff out. Now you guys understand why I edit so much crap. Sometimes I catch myself and I'm like, oh, what's wrong with me? Like, didn't I hear what I just said? Yeah, so this can't be the third issue because there is no 2 cent in the third issue. So being granite paper, it simply must be the second issue. Boom! Done deal. Anyways, now I get to wait probably freaking 3 or 4 minutes for this red ink to dry from these acrylic paint markers that I use to write on these pages with. It takes quite a while to dry. Sometimes I get impatient and I put it in there in the album and it leaves a smear because you really do have to wait for this ink to dry. But the nice thing is it is water based, and so I can always just like reuse these pages for something else if I wanted. So anyways, that pretty much does it for this video, guys. You know, like I always say, I'm not an expert, and sometimes I take breaks and just don't do much work for a while on stamp collecting, and I still seem to bother to film videos, but yeah, you know, whatever, it's life. I just kind of do me, and I try not to stress about it. I do kind of feel bad when I like go a couple of weeks without releasing a video. I'd like you guys to, you know, have content at least once a week if I can help it, but sometimes I don't. You know, to be perfectly honest, this week I actually wasn't planning on making a video. I just kind of wanted to relax. I just had some kind of stomach sickness thing at the end of the last week there. I wasn't feeling very well, and kind of took the piss out of me. So, but I'm feeling good now, and yeah, I sat down this morning and I looked at this desk with the 2 albums, just completely sucking it up, and it's just like, you know, if I'm not going to work on them, for God's sake, just identify that last stamp and get them off your desk. Maybe I just don't feel like working on Japan right now. Maybe I just need to switch to something else, or I don't know, but yeah, and then that kind of started this snowballed into like yeah, me questioning that whole granite paper thing, if it trickles down and all that. And so here we are. Here's this video. Anyways, I hope that this helped somebody out there. Maybe this was somewhat enjoyable to watch for you guys. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. And yeah, I appreciate all of you as usual. You're all just a great bunch of people. And yeah, sometimes I like to try to get into, I don't know if you'd really call this educational, maybe a little bit. I try to get somewhat more educational instead of just looking at them. But yeah, and this was pretty basic overall. But overall, I'm glad that I did this. I needed that. I felt like I needed to solidify this in my mind again. And you know what? It'd be embarrassing, but maybe in 6 months or a year, I'll need to do that again. You know, I don't know. I do find myself going back to basics sometimes and just like, hold on, man. I just get to second guessing things, and yeah, you know, it's worth taking the time and figuring out what's going on, so you can have some confidence. I want to stamp with confidence, and I want you guys to as well. All right, I'll catch you later. See you, everybody. Bye-bye.